This is What a Week.
What a Week. PoliTricks.
Welcome to another episode of WOW What a Week, hashtag PoliTricks. From state funerals to student fires, from hot seats in parliament to floating flotillas in the Mediterranean Ocean, we don't sleep because PoliTricks don't sleep. My name is Fresh, he is Botsang, and welcome to WOW What a Week, hashtag PoliTricks. Botsang.
Yes.
Ushap.
Good morning, Fresh. Kishapu, Brak, and you?
Good night. Welcome.
We don't sleep. Yeah, well, they're keeping us awake. Thanks. Thanks.
It's like we can't keep up.
No. We used to limit our topics to like 4 internal 1 hour.
Sure.
Now we're at 6, 7.
Yeah.
And the hours are increasing, and the followers and the viewers are like, "Hi guys, you stopped it abruptly.
Yeah.
Can you give us more?" Sometimes we don't have more, or the bodies can't cope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's start in France. Progress on state funeral category 2 and the repatriation of the mortal remains of Ambassador Mthethwa. Let's talk about that.
Firstly, during the course of the week, I think on Tuesday, the French, the French government had finished conducting the autopsy on the body. And
Question.
Yes.
Do the state owe us the results of an autopsy of a government official, or is it entirely up to the family?
Well, look, he was there on behalf of the state.
Yes.
We'll have to release
But is it our business?
It's in our business. It is. And let me tell you, the French law, and I read it, first of all, the autopsy, it goes to the magistrate as
Okay.
their process. The magistrate gives it only to the family.
Okay.
To a family members. If the family has elected a deputy ambassador or a minister or anybody to receive them on their behalf, it must be documented so. But the French law is they give, and I learned it this week, the magistrate gives it to the family. And that is why elders of the family and some family members, including the son,
Yes.
they flew to France on Tuesday. One, to be able to receive the preliminary autopsy report from the magistrate. You don't just go and get it at the mortuary or
Sure.
hospital. Secondly, to conduct what the family regard as a typical African spiritual journey to can collect the spirit of the departed from that plane. There's a customary, traditional thing they do to do that. So where we are at the moment, the state would have released it to the family. When will the family release it? It's entirely up to them.
Okay, but they could elect to keep it a family secret.
Look, they could elect to keep it a family secret, but I think the former ambassador being given category 2 state funeral as approved by President Ramaphosa, I think it will just be fair for us to know what happened to one of us.
But category 2 is because he's earned it, given his many years of service.
Yes.
But does it mean the family owe us the results, though?
They don't owe us Fresh.
Okay.
But it will be kind of them to put us at easy.
Okay.
He was the son of the soil. He was the son of the nation. He served most of his adult life. He was serving the nation. And he passed on in a foreign country, still, at the behest of the president of the country, representing the president of the country as the ambassador of South Africa to the Republic of France.
And he was a young minister when he started out as a member of parliament.
If my memory serves me well, he was in his 40s when he became a minister, early 40s, when he became a minister. And he was very young. I mean, as an ambassador at 58, it's a prime age to can be a head of mission.
Yes.
But I think it's a well-deserved category 2 state funeral. And that's the first part.
And the funeral is happening tomorrow.
It's on Sunday.
Yes.
And I think it also gave me time, or gave them time to give the French authorities time to investigate what happened. And also for not only the family to go there. Last weekend, as we were on air, the government of the Republic of South Africa also sent 5 special detectives to go and work hand in hand with the French. I raised my concern to say, will it make a difference because of the language barrier, unless some of them or one of them speaks French fluently? But if in this instance the French wanted to hold something back from us and you rely on interpreters, it's a little bit difficult. However, I think the authorities have done everything in their power so far. My only thing that disturbed me with this thing is when the French authorities released a statement that they've checked the footage of the hotel.
That was my next question, because conspiracy theories abound about what happened. Was he pushed? Did he jump? Is there a cover-up? Was there a third party? Was he alone? Why did he book at the time he did? Did he go up alone? But camera footage says what?
Yeah, the camera footage on the day he entered the hotel, on the day he checked in, he was on his own. He went in there alone, checked in from the reception, moved to the floor, walked in. The cameras, or according to their reports, on the corridors, in the elevator, they demonstrated he was alone. He was on his own, and nobody was seen moving in or out. But, when you say there's conspiracy theories, you remember when we did the 938 radio earlier this week, I said to you, I have a problem in relying on the authorities there as well as the hotel staff, because France is one of the most advanced countries with technology in the world, and they export a lot of their technology. And the question I was bringing up was, according to the French authority or the hotel, he booked that hotel 10 days before check-in. Okay? And if he booked 10 days before check-in, why would a South African ambassador residing in France book a hotel 10 days before? And what kind of meeting did he have there and so forth? For me, that's the first part. It leads to your comment now to say there was nothing on camera.
Yes.
They didn't say anything. What if, and for me, I said, they must go and get the voice. If you phone the hotel, they record the booking. Was it Ambassador Nkosinathi Mthethwa talking to the hotel booking or reservations department? Was it him?
Okay.
Or it was somebody else? I found it very difficult that an ambassador who has a social secretary, the clerks and all staff can make a hotel booking himself. If it wasn't him, then who was it? But they may have not seen a person going into that hotel room. Another thing, if I was the investigator, I was going to check when last was that room occupied.
Yes.
Before him.
Yeah, because they can have electronic keys. So there'll be a trail of keys that have opened at what time.
Yes, at what time. And
we're wasting time here. We should be cops.
No, I had my mind waking to say, who was last in that room? On which day? And remember, they said he had booked for 2 days. Then he cancelled in the last minute to say only for 1 day. So he spent only one night, or supposedly was supposed to spend 1 night. But what if that hotel room? Now, this is me being a conspiracy, a risk. What if when he walked in there, the people or somebody was waiting for him in that hotel room? You understand? If you booked it 10 days before, and you were specific where you want to stay, and then you change a day before, what if it was not him? What if he was invited there? But if he went to the reception, he collected the key, he walked into the hotel, then he knew about the booking. I find it very weird. But you know what? We'll speculate. I thought Pitcom, as they say in Afrikaans. But I hope and I wish the spirit of, Ambassador Nkosinathi Mthethwa rest in peace, and let the nation and the family find peace in this.
And then in terms of the legacy that he leaves behind, because often once a person has passed on, then people start dredging up other stuff. The old adage, don't speak ill of the dead, goes out the window.
Yeah.
And people start looking at, but what about this? But what about that? Do you think that will overshadow the great work he has done when he was doing great work?
Certainly with politicians, Fresh, it does. Especially, last week I said to you and the viewers, Nkosinathi Mthethwa, sadly so. I've read 4 or 5 commissions that investigate various political and corruption crime in South Africa. His name featured in all those that I read.
Yes.
Not to say he was corrupt, and not say he was the only person who was featured, but his name featured over. And somebody may say, maybe because he was active, maybe because he was young, maybe because he was working, depending on how you look at it. But unfortunately, when it comes to customary issues and traditional issues, of do not speak ill of the dead, especially before they are buried and all that. When it comes to political office bearers, especially looking at what is happening in the country, it will go out the window.
Yes.
And it is not about us as, commentators and analysts and media people. It is in the nature of human beings to have seen people, referring to very horrible comments that I even look at the people who are making this thing. You can even see the factionalism of the ANC when a man has departed. And you're like, but these human beings. I mean, there's somebody who's very close to me, typically a family, and he is so incensed with the anti-Zuma campaign in the ANC. Anything to him that has ever been linked to Zuma, he doesn't even want to reason anymore. I even was arguing with him to say, Nkosinathi Mthethwa was the minister of the Pole saga under Ramaphosa admin, and you are not talking about that. You are talking about when he was the police. It's now being mentioned at the Madlanga Commission and all those. But we shouldn't do that as human beings. I don't say we are all rosy and gloomy and we all do good. We are perfect people. We are not. So, me and you, who are we to can go and say we can throw stones? But while we live in house classes, right now we are sitting in a situation in the country where actually some of the people who are talking negative, their names may come up in the commissions and inquiries that are happening.
Yes. But
yeah, I'm glad that finally the mortal remains have been brought home procedurally so, and the former minister and ambassador will be laid to rest at his home in KZN.
Absolutely. May his soul rest in peace. Fort Hare is on fire.
Yes.
Fort Hare is a legendary university. Multiple African leaders went to study in Fort Hare. I remember even in primary school, when we did literature in Setswana, one of the poems was about Fort Hare. I think it was called College
Ramboot, yes.
Was the name?
What a good memory.
Was the name of the poem that we did in Setswana literature in high school. And, that is the high regard with which Fort Hare is held when it comes to institutions of higher learning on the continent. Yeah. But Fort Hare is on fire. And some might even argue that its glory days compared to what it was in the 50s, 60s, 70s are gone. What's going on at Fort Hare?
Look, Fresh, it's an unfortunate situation. I would have wanted to be a Fort Hare student. Unfortunately, my parents did not have much. I had applied. I was accepted at Fort Hare when I was doing matric. I still kept my student card. So I was just waiting for January to come to go to school the following year. It did not happen. That's why in my biography, I have that sub-chapter, Fort Hare deferred. The sub-chapter about it. But for me, I regard the University of Fort Hare as the Makerere of South Africa.
Yes.
Or of SADC, even not only South Africa, because of the work. If you look at Timbuktu, if you look at VETS in South Africa, that is still called VETS today. And it's unfortunate that students had to take their frustrations to the infrastructure of their own learning institution. And I've learned from some people who studied there, who still are activists and they still have contact with the University of Fort Hare, that one of the buildings that was burnt down, it is actually not just a legacy building, it also was a home of quite a number of materials that our children, they will need to know that history. Right now, me and you, we know that Robert Mugabe, Samuel Joma, Robert Sobukwe, Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambos of this world, they studied at the University of Fort Hare. It produced some of the greatest, SADC leaders, the former frontline states leaders. Actually, historically, these leaders of the frontline states, some of them became close to each other and formed the frontline movements, liberation movements, then SADC, because they met at Fort Hare. And now, what are our kids going to learn when the current crop of kids are destroying the infrastructure? No matter their reasons, Fresh. You ask me what's going on there. I think, and I'm of the opinion that their laments are legitimate.
Yes.
And I'll mention them. But the actions you do to respond to your laments, it's very consequential. When you destroy infrastructure that you will need tomorrow, that you will need next month when these things are resolved. One, the students at Fort Hare, they were crying for the SRC, which is well within the constitution, it is well within the rules and policies of the Department of Higher Education, that SRCs must be well established as prescribed, they must exist, they must be elected, leaders must be elected democratically. Now their first lament is that the current SRC was co-opted by the management of the university. And they have a challenge with that. The year is even coming to an end while they are being led by co-opted students. Now, the problem with that, once they are co-opted, management will, what do? They will control you. True, a lot of people do not know that there's a lot of benefits from being an SRC member.
Yes.
I know in the past, some who were at university full-time, they abused those resources. They had SRC vehicles, they were controlling the budget of the SRC and all that. So there are benefits of being an SRC leader at a tertiary institution in South Africa. Albeit it's not supposed to be like that. But you are more convenient, than you have more convenience than other students. The other element they are crying for is that the vice rector or the vice principal has served 2 terms. The second term is about to come to an end. They are trying to do things, the management, that he must get the 3rd term. And these students are saying, no, we are not happy with you. You have finished your 2 terms. The policy says 2 terms. So prepare to pack and go. But why these things are coming up just on the eve of exams? These students are supposed to be in classrooms in the next month or 2 to write their final year exams. And then fresh, the last one is, in the last 2 months, this is also another sad state of affairs. In the last 2 months, 3 children, were found dead in the premise.
Do you know of circumstances this happened under?
Well, one was choked, another one is suspect suicide, one was stabbed. You understand? And but they haven't. There's no arrest. There's no confirmation from the police. There's no improvement of security from management. And these students are saying they're fearing for their lives. However, I am saying, for whatever reason, you can fear for your life. Management may be wrong. You don't have to destroy your own infrastructure.
I was going to say, it's bad enough that generally as Africans, we don't document a lot of our history. A lot of our history is fed back to us through the eyes of other people.
Yes.
And often it's the colonizers, it's the imperialists that tell our history back to us. And as bad enough as is that a lot of it is oral.
Yes.
And that
Or
the minute,
yes,
and the minute, a great-grandfather or great-grandmother passes away, they leave with a history. But now to be burning buildings that store part of that history, for me, is a travesty.
Yes.
And I'd even go as far as saying there must be separate charges for people who target government infrastructure, including places that hold history, including legacy-filled buildings. There should be a separate charge for that. It can't just be a normal arson charge.
Look, there are people who are calling for it to be treasonous, to destroy historical info, like museums, monuments.
And artifacts, yes.
Architectural factors. Imagine if paintings of our history of the San people are being destroyed. And then we won't be able to show the world or our kids in future who were the San people and all that. But again, I look at the situation whereby it's also disturbing. And we have to own up to this as parents or adult blacks, that what did we teach our kids regarding jealously protecting and defending your infrastructure? Because it belongs to us. Sure. It does not be, even if it's infrastructure or issues or stadiums were erected by the previous government, but it's ours.
Yes.
It's our resources, it's our money. And I've called out on this the day the TBVC states were removed, the day the Mangopes and Matanzi Mas were removed from power towards between 1990 and 1994. People were destroying infrastructure, and I will talk about the then Buputatswana, which is Northwest today.
Yes.
People were destroying infrastructure that they don't have today. Yeah. Understand? Whether it was stadiums, whether it was halls or whatever.
Cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yes, and look at how the people of Northwest suffered to an extent that the Royal Bafokeng family had to build or renovate their own stadium towards the 2010 World Cup. So we should not do that. We cannot be destroying. And we as African people, we even go and destroy our infrastructure. While I'm living in Pretoria, under the statue of Paul Kruger, I live next to Irene, which was a concentration camp. And it's okay. That is preserved. And we have political leaders who are still sitting in the Union building, same building, same blocks. Maybe they just changed furniture when they took over from the apartheid regime. But why are we not having that thing in ourselves as African people to jealously guard and protect the resources and the assets we have? And as the people go on strikes in townships, then they bomb, what do they call it, post offices and libraries. In my own township, in Mohlake, 2-3 years back, there were protests. People burned the library. You know, I was so sad because after tertiary, I donated some of my textbooks because textbooks get obsolete.
Yes.
But at least there's textbooks. I donated a box of textbooks into that library, and now they're burned down. And I think we must instill it into our kids. Protest,
Yes.
riot, do what, but don't destroy your own infrastructure. This problem of University of Fort Hare, they were told to leave the campus by Thursday afternoon. It will be resolved in a month or two. What if the principal says, I'm resigning? What if the SRC gets elected? Then I must go back to school. Where are they going to sleep?
Sure.
Where are they going to study? It doesn't make sense, especially tertiary students who will be political leaders, lawyers, and doctors tomorrow.
Exactly. Now, while we're at it talking about documenting history and what we do, you know, one conversation I often have with friends of mine is those of you that still have your parents, meaning your kids have grandparents.
Yes.
What conversations are you encouraging your kids to have with your grandparents? Are you documenting your grandparents' lives? And one project that I've been postponing, and I kick myself, is getting a journalist to sit with my parents.
Yeah.
And just sit a week and just record their life
What
story.
do they say?
Record the life story. You can bind it into a book for the family. You can bind it into a book for your kids so they understand exactly where they come from. And you don't even have to get a journalist to do it. You can even voice note it.
Yes.
Just put your phone there and have a conversation with your parents so that you know your family history. A lot of us are not documenting our own history.
And you are
it's
right,
bad enough the kids are burning some of it at the universities. What are we doing in our own personal spaces? About our own history, about our family trees, about our legacies, about what your great-grandfather was running from at the time that they were given the lands that they
Yes.
All of that is our responsibility.
We don't have to even do it ourselves. What we can be doing is to get somebody. These youngsters have gadgets. They like coding. They are very creative. You know, get them to do it. Let Tato Jr. go and sit, Lily Taimali Magriza, and interview them and talk to them. It will be different than you talking to them.
Yes.
Than when Tato or Lifika, being young, and he will ask you to shoot from the hip. You know, he will not have filter.
And that's what the conversation I'm having with the kids, that when you go visit your grandparents, don't make it about you want to watch TV now or you want to go outside and play.
Spend time
with them. One of my biggest regrets is the fact that I never spent enough time with my grandparents. I'd go to the village and Wadumedi, so you greet and then you go out and play.
Yeah.
You greet and then we go and take the cattle or the goats to pasture.
What you are saying, actually, it may be a build-up to what I said earlier on, that we also must own up and have a responsibility of what are we instilling on our kids.
Yes.
When these kids who are at Fort Hare, they are not all from Alice or this area. They may be from other provinces, even from abroad.
Exactly.
What kind of families do they come from? What were they told when they were packing their bags to go to school? You know, it will go down a lot. Actually, you are giving me an idea and you can be busy.
And you know, I know we are busy with life and adulting and trying to, you know, earn a living for these children of ours. But we have to be intentional about instilling in them a thirst to know about themselves, at the very least, just to know about yourself and your family.
Yeah.
Because history is everything, and we've stopped documenting it. History is not even compulsory anymore. History should be compulsory right up until you leave high school.
Actually, there's a guy, you know, thanks to you on 938 FM radio. There's a guy, he's a friend who wrote to me, he read my book, and he said to one of the students, some of them in the class, they watched this podcast. And this guy is a lecturer. And he said, someone said, like, do you know this guy in person? Can't we invite him to come and talk to us? So he gave me an offer to say, look, can't you come and do political science, my student?
Yes.
Twice a week and talk to them politics, not of the textbooks they have.
Exactly.
Something that they say they watch your podcast, and I asked them, but where do you get that from? And they told him that we watched this guy and he's talking about history that we are not reading it in books.
Exactly.
So we want to come and question him now because it's not the history of the Mandelas and the 70s and the 60s.
Yes.
It's mainly what we talk about is current affairs, most of the things that happened from 1990. So he sent me a message last night. He wanted us to meet today. I'm like, no. not this weekend. They will talk during the week.
And I think we should do that, because even what we're living this week is history in the making. But often, because we're so busy being in it, we're not intentional about what part am I playing in shaping that history.
In shaping it, yeah.
Do I have a responsibility to be one of the authors of the current history? Or do I just be a passenger?
Exactly.
And we need to reach a point where we are more intentional with our children. Because our children are about TikTok, about watching YouTube shorts, but are they intentional about everything else? They're intentional about the social media. And it's up to us, guys. We can't leave it to teachers. The teachers will teach them. Teachers know nothing about your family tree. Nothing.
Yeah, we're talking about teachers.
Anyway, Parliamentary Ad-Hoc Committee with General Mkhwanazi kicked off in the week. I almost feel like there were more fireworks there than at the Madlanga Commission.
I actually wanted to hear your opinion on that, because
I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I almost feel like our jaws will be more on the ground and the floor now than they were at the Madlanga Commission.
And you are right, they were. I didn't watch the first day because it was going to be his presentation.
Yes.
But I watched fully the second day. I actually went to bed, and I had to wake up it was Wednesday night, so I had to wake up at 5 for the radio show. So it was a painful process.
And I was discussing when he spoke about drugs that were confiscated in Durban, that were taken to another police station that had load shedding, and then the drugs disappeared.
Yes.
Next thing they reappear in Joburg.
Yes.
And then apparently there's a whole bunch of DJs who were assassinated around that drug.
Yeah.
Those drugs that went missing. And I'm in a DJ group with a whole bunch of us.
Yes.
And as we're reading about DJs getting shot and killed, we were also hearing about their drugs missing. And they've been told, return the drugs or else. So it was wild that as these killings were happening, we were hearing about it in the DJ circles.
Yeah.
But we were not sure of the bigger picture.
The bigger picture.
So now to see this bigger picture come together, and the fact that some of these DJs were posting literally wads of cash on their social media. Some were going to famous clubs and blowing money. And this money from a drug heist.
Fresh, we can talk about it now because it's in a public space.
Yes.
General Mkhwanazi, Parliament belongs to us.
Yes.
We own that process as citizens. It is. I can feel for you and your other colleagues and DJs. How does it feel when these things come out? It's like journalists now and media people. Remember, I'm now being dragged into the media to say I'm part of the media. Journalists and analysts. I was just imagining you as DJs having your own WhatsApp group, and they say some of you are party to these narcotics, transactions. How does it feel when you look at your colleagues that you play with, that you hang up with? You start looking at each other and wonder, is it this one or is it this one?
There was generally a lot of anxiety and almost what's going on here.
Yeah.
When you were seeing DJs getting taken out. But now that there's context, it makes sense. And luckily, majority, if not most of the guys I know, don't mess in that area. But it did build a lot of feelings of unsafety and anxiety amongst people.
You could have been caught up in an unfortunate situation.
There's even a DJ friend of mine whose road manager would go to a venue to ensure that the DJ box is in an area that is secured, or not exposed to outside, because we didn't know what was going on.
So
all we knew was...
sweeping the areas. You're not just working freely as entertainers.
Exactly. All we knew is...
security sweep the area.
All we knew is we were seeing a bunch of DJs posting money, going to clubs and blowing a ton of money. But, so to get the context is just crazy.
But taking it back to the Ad-Hoc Committee of Parliament, you remember before this whole thing started, I've been the advocate of... I have more confidence and trust in the Ad-Hoc Committee than the Madlanga Commission. There's nothing wrong with the Madlanga Commission, but we have known and seen what commissions do in South Africa. And let me tell you, Fresh, I knew the name of the head of state would come out during this. And now if the commission is going to present its report to its founder, who is the head of state, I don't have confidence in that process. I've seen them before. How did I know that the name of the head of state will come out? It is because I followed people for many years, like Mzilika Africa, when he started writing about corruption in police and slush funds of police and narcotics and management of police now, there is no way, I've always maintained it, there is absolutely no way a head of state, especially as clever as President Ramaphosa, would not know, who has surrounded himself with actually the security cluster is sitting in the presidency, the SSA is sitting in his presidency. There's no way he would have not known what his lieutenants are doing, whether they are commissioners, whether they are DGs, or whether they are ministers. There was no way. I knew the name will come up. I'm not implicating or alleging that President Ramaphosa is guilty of any dealing with cartels or what. I'm saying I knew the name was going to come up. The name has come up. That's why I banged on the Ad-Hoc committee.
Yes.
Because the Ad-Hoc committee, it consists of the opposition members. It consists of even people from his own political party who wants to come out clean to say we can't cover these things forever.
Yes.
If President Ramaphosa is going to sacrifice himself to cover alleged drug kingpins like Ket Mandla or protect Minister Mkhwanazi, let him sacrifice himself, but not the organization. So there will be some members of the ANC who stands up and say, not in our name, not at this time. And that's one part. The second part is why I banged on the Ad-Hoc committee. It's because it is a legislated body. It's a committee of parliament. Although this one is specific, it's 3 committees combined into one, but there's no holy cows there. And now I just wondered if Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi will not be intimidated by politicians. It was no longer the camo, it was the suit and tie. Let me tell you, in my book, we dropped the jaw more. We saw more. We heard more. He gave names. I mean, the man was in parliament, albeit that they started late. If you recall what happened on Tuesday, again, parliament is clumsy, very clumsy. The senior counsel, who's a very seasoned and experienced senior counsel, who's leading evidence, goes and takes documents of Mandla Commission, accept them to be presented to MPs, to lawmakers. And that side of Judas is the side of Judas that I've missed for a long time. He came gun blazing, factual, and say, what, we are not Mandla Commission. Why am I sitting with a file here written Mandla Commission? Whether the content is the same, it's immaterial. Go and create our own file. And Julius was 100% correct. He was. They lost time, half of the day on Tuesday. That's why they finished 11 p.m. on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, they finished, like I looked at time when I was calling to bed. It was 12:20 after midnight. It's because of the time delays they lost. That's one element. 2, there's one thing that disturbs me about our lawmakers. Fresh, if you are from party X, I'm from party A. I've asked a question. It was answered to the satisfaction. Clear, straightforward questions. You don't have to answer it just because it's time for you to talk.
Yes.
Go to the next thing. Save time. Be factual. Yes, if you seek clarity, you can ask follow-up. If you are given 30 minutes to speak, you don't have to speak for 30 minutes.
Yes.
And repeat things that were said. That's how they wasted time. But one of the key aspects I picked up there, it's how political parties started playing a dirty political game, blaming. I just forgot the name. I think it's James from Patriotic Alliance, asking questions like, who was the mayor when
yes.
Spear was appointed? Then the DA came asked that question. Then the ANC retaliated, to say, but when this thing happened, who was the minister of what? From which political? They even asked from which political party? It was not the ANC. Mkhwanazi was not existing. But what they did, they still dragged Jacob Zuma's name in when he was at the ANC. Now it became personal.
Yes.
You understand? And I think they wasted time with it. Yes, they wanted to score political points, but they are not taking us serious as a nation. Why divert? There is a mandate of this committee. There's an agenda. There's a subject matter. It's to look at corruption, to look at maladministration, to look at capturing of state, public officials, and all those things. Look at that, confine yourself to that, you will be able to finish things on time.
Yes.
Now you want to scatter all over and show the other party that even your party members are corrupt. For the first time, I found DA with their tail between their legs. When Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi pointed a hand, pointed a finger and said, even Kola Barna, the DA minister, is involved in this, and explain how. That's when Julius Malema and others asked him or her to recuse herself from it because she's part of the committee. And she's the only MP so far who has been mentioned by name. I'm not going to mention Senzo Mkhunu, that's obvious. He's at the center of the whole thing. She didn't attend the second day of the proceedings. I don't know whether because she's recusing herself or she decided not to be there to ask questions. Because you know what was he going to do? She's conflicted. They were going to ask her, but you can't be asking these questions. You are implicated.
Yes.
You were involved. Mkhwanazi says he's got evidence. I still do not know, Fresh, why Mr. Bheki Cele, the former Minister of Police, is not yet arrested.
Arrested for what?
For what Mkhwanazi presented in Parliament this week. He didn't say it in the Madlanga Commission, or else I missed it. He said it in Parliament to say he have evidence, and they attached it, of Ket Matlala, of Usimusi Ket Matlala, saying, communicating with Bheki Cele. Not those missed calls, not the hotel sitting, something else. And Bheki Cele sent Ket Matlala an account number. And Ket Matlala, after some moments, sent proof of payment into that account number. But that is not Bheki Cele's account number, it's some other person number. Now, they've got the material evidence already that there's money is being received in exchange. For me, you need to prove in court, not to the police. Why they haven't done that, I don't know. But did you hear the guy said, in the next few weeks, there's going to be arrest. He even said, even in this house, we're coming to arrest some people. Yeah. I'm telling you, if I was an MP and I know I've done wrong, I will start arranging myself over to go and check before I'm being arrested in a style that is like Hollywood. That is one thing that, he has brought up in Parliament that we didn't get in the Madlanga Commission.
Yes.
Because here it's politicians. Look, I don't think General Mkhwanazi as well, he's clean. We are all humans. When I say clean, I mean he has no faults.
Yes.
One of the things, it was the ANC chief whip that actually, I really think he was good. You could see experience politically. Who said to him, you are saying this is the procedure, it's command and control, and the minister wrote to the commissioner who was on leave. There was an acting commissioner. Now, and I like that. This chief whip of the ANC says to General Mkhwanazi, now, when the minister wrote and said disband on the 31st of January 2024, what happened to command and control? There was a command to the commissioner. You are saying the minister can't do that to you because the commissioner and the president appointed this. But he wrote to the commissioner, not to you. Why didn't you receive the orders? You understand? So he was caught up in a corner there as well to say, you refused the command. That was not meant for it. It was meant for the commissioner. The commissioner was on holiday, so it was meant for the acting commissioner. Why did it have to take you, Mkhwanazi, to act on that, not the acting commissioner? Smart as he is, he said, well, I don't know, you can ask her when she comes here. She's a seasoned police, but I saw danger coming.
Yes.
I knew what was going on, and I took it upon myself that I'm going to stop this whole thing. And those were interesting things. Politically, again, he went to explain the July 2021 riots after the arrest of President Zuma. You remember that? It was shocking for us. You remember most of us asked, where was intelligence, where was info? We learned this week that the intelligence had gathered info. They had actually called a meeting of the Interministerial Committee of Security Cluster. They met in Durban before 2021 July unrest. And he says he himself took it upon himself to brief the president,
Yes.
all those ministers who went to brief the president to say, let us jam all social media in KZN because we are picking up that there's going to be riots and we are not in a position to control
So
it.
the intel was there.
The intel was there. They rejected it.
Oh, wow.
They rejected it on one ground. It was unconstitutional to bug and block people's phones in South Africa. He said, we had the gadgets. They were in a safe. The Inspector General of Intelligence said, no, we are not allowed to use those gadgets for general public.
But if it's in the interest of the public and public safety for you to use a jammer or whatever it's called,
Yes.
surely you should be able to get a court order that gives you permission.
The Minister of Justice was there, Minister of Defense was there, Minister of Police was there. The four of them with their commissioners, they could have sat down, drafted an order, went to court, agent application to ask for permission to do that. It was in the best interest. Over 300 people died. It was in the best interest of the nation. People told us about the Constitution. It is unconstitutional to go and bug or jam civilians' phone or to stop us from communicating on WhatsApp or social media. But look what it did.
So maybe, going back to what Minister of Finance Mkhwanazi said a couple of weeks ago, that maybe we need to relook at parts of the Constitution because they are making it difficult for certain things to be able to happen. For instance, the Freedom Charter, where it says South Africa belongs to all that live in it.
The Freedom Charter says those who work in it, or who work the land, or something like that.
Or something like that. But obviously that was then part of what's in the Constitution.
Yes.
That if you're in the country must look after you.
Yes.
And he lamented the fact that if you look at the NHI in its current form, with the Constitution as is, will not be able to carry everyone.
Never. Yeah.
And maybe like a lot of people say, have been saying about this Constitution is not serving us fully right now. That's another example then.
Yeah, it's a typical example. And again, we may be, glorifying Mkhwanazi, but as one listen, as one follow, you realize that the man, when he did the July 6th, a public address that Sunday morning, you start realizing that he was actually boiling. He was about to explode. I mean, there was a time this week when they asked him, what could have happened if you didn't do? What pushed you to do the July 6th address? And he said, if I did not do that, you can ask my other colleagues, they are coming. You were going to see blue on blue with rifles. He says, we're very close to doing that because the other camp that was infiltrated and controlled by the cartels, they were so armed that they were going to take us down. That's why they were starting to arrest us. He mentioned how after the arrest of Khumalo, the intelligence director, the next one was Fani Masemola, the next one was him. So it was police fighting police. These ones are controlled by cartels. What before I answer or comment on the Constitution, what also caught me, I think there is a lot of anger between General Mkhwanazi and General Sibia. There's a lot. I could see it when he talks. Plus the minister. And he says, I try to warn the minister a lot. I try to talk to the minister because I believe that if he was given proper information, some of the things he would have not done, some of the decisions he would have not done. But he refused me that access. I therefore decided to go and talk to South Africans, and that's where we are today. But it's scary that a commander, a commissioner of a combatant team of police, that is one of the most armed team of police, was telling us that he was competing with drug lords. And he went to an extent of even calling the minister as the Escobar of South Africa. Fresh, that is telling. If I start calling you the Escobar, for those who have seen Narcos or who know who is Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
I mean, that man was not just a politician who was changing the government as he wanted, not only in Colombia, but in the entire Latin America.
Yes.
It's a very big thing, but it shows us how deep this thing is, how far it has went, how rotten the system is. Where Mkhwanazi disappointed me, and I saw Julius raising it, saying, you said the judiciary is also captured, but you just mentioned one magistrate. I told you, I want to focus on the judiciary. I know politicians are captured. That part I've known all my life.
Yeah.
I know MPs are politicians. I'm not excited about that. The judiciary I don't know also why the judiciary was, no, this is something I wanted to raise with you. You asked too many questions. I must ask on a change. Why? When it comes to who are the judiciary who are captured, or who are involved, they say they have evidence, records, bank payments, meetings.
But they never...
They want to do it in camera, and I have a problem with that.
Yes.
Why, when it's judges or the judiciary, you have You can mention the
And
president.
Vele, if you have receipts,
Yes.
then you can stand by your receipts.
Yes, or telephone records or bagging. It's okay. The damage is done. There's executive authority, the president and his cabinet. You are mentioning them. Mkhunu, Cele, Nathi, Ramaphosa. You are mentioning them. There is parliament, Barnard, Adams, and others. You are mentioning them. Why, when it comes to the judiciary, which is another arm of this, what is it that we are trying to preserve about the judiciary that is already corrupted and contaminated? I have a problem with the judiciary being left out. That they must go and say it in camera. I've got so many cases in court, and I've got suspicions that some of the judiciary is corrupted because of the way I observe their conduct.
Yeah.
You know, I want to hear, as a citizen of this country, which judges are corrupt. This thing of the judges being treated with Mother Teresa or Jesus gloves is not going to work.
Yeah.
Why others? Is the president or the cabinet or the executive not as equally important as the judiciary? In a normal state where things work, the judiciary is supposed to be pure and clean. But we are not a normal state. So we cannot treat them in camera. I hope some of the MPs can say nonsense. Let's hear this thing in public. They owe us that explanation. There is nothing like a clean judiciary. If there were brown envelopes that went to the judiciary, let them come out. We want to know who are those people. Why in camera? I'm against this in camera thing.
Sure.
Let them mention them in public. But they don't have to tell us how they acquired info and all that, because it will expose them. But let them mention the judiciary that is corrupted in public so that the world can know. It will also help the other judges to know whom of their colleagues
Yes.
are receiving
Who's on
kickbacks.
the take?
Yes. It will help the Chief Justice. It will help other colleagues of them who are clean and who are ethical people to know who of their colleagues are in the hands of drug lords and drug cartels.
Sure.
And so, but anyway, the constitution, my brother, we don't need some. We need an absolute overhaul of the South African constitution. It's more wrong than right. After 30 years, we know there is more wrongs in that constitution than right things, because every section of it is being challenged.
Sure.
Every section has a fault. My last one on it, we'll have a topic I discussed about it last week. I was meeting with some advocate, and he was like, "Botsang, you guys, you don't see things. Why is the Constitutional Court of South Africa the last entry? Once they've decided, as if they can't do wrong, the fact that when you have 7 of them, they're sometimes divided, it shows there's a gray area. But it ends there. The majority wins. We go with the majority vote. Why can't we appeal somewhere the decision of the Constitutional Court? They are human. They can err as human beings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Sizoktola Xolani Khumalo announced Action SA's Ekurhuleni mayoral candidate. You think this is a master move?
Why is this Octola? Oh, because of the show.
The show is Sizoktola.
I wonder where does that name come from?
Yes, that's the show that he did on Moja Love.
On Moja Love, yes.
Why do you think this is a master stroke by Action SA?
Politics in South Africa are about numbers and people are
and emotions.
People are very tired, are emotional, are very angry now regarding service delivery on the ground. And we are going to local government elections.
Yes.
That's the first part. Xolani has worked the ground as an activist against illegal immigration, drugs, abuse and selling and cartels, as well as kidnapping and abuse of women and children. He has been working, and he's a child of Ekurhuleni, the one of the biggest metros of South Africa. He has been working the ground. We have seen it on television. I've watched a few of those episodes when he was chasing the drug dealers. And he ended up in jail.
Yes.
Because one of the drug peddlers or dealers swallowed those drugs, and he died because of what we call it, of excess consumption of narcotics. I think Action SA came with a master stroke because South Africans don't vote according to philosophies anymore.
Yes.
Understand?
In fact, your average person couldn't even tell you what's in a manifesto.
Listen, the last time I read the election manifesto of a political party was when the EFF was founded in 2013 towards 2014 elections. Even people who are politically astute, I don't think they read those manifestos. The people on the ground that you need their votes, they need to know who delivered water for them, who arrested which criminal, who guarded the house, who patrolled the community at night. And Xolani is the best person for that. Now, critics of Action SA and Xolani are saying, how can Herman Mashaba and Action SA bring a Xolani, what did he call him, a celebrity, to campaign as a mayor? I think they are aware that they may not win 51 plus and he becomes a mayor. I think they are aware. But he's a candidate that can bring them more votes than any other candidate.
And I don't think he's a celebrity. I think he's an activist that had cameras follow him around. And as a result of that activism, he has become famous and celebrated.
Yes.
But to just reduce him to celebrity, I think is disingenuous.
And you are correct, Fresh. You have put it correct. What's wrong with him using cameras like journalists who have used the pen and paper to write stories that push the liberation movement and liberation struggle? It's the same thing for me.
Sure.
We are living in a modern day world where I'm sitting here, I'm pushing a political narrative because there's cameras around me and there's a famous DJ next to me. Why wouldn't I do that? But there's another element that is unjust and unfair towards Xolani. When the economic freedom fighters brought in Ringo Madlinkosi, very well-known international musician, who has never occupied even a branch political chair, into parliament, as well as Eugene Mthethwa. They are still MPs of the economic freedom fighters, and those are real celebrities. Those were musicians. You know, Eugene Mthethwa, during our yesteryear, I used to dance to his kwaito songs. Now, it was okay for the EFF to bring Eugene Mthethwa and Ringo Madlinkosi into parliament. But Action SA is not even bringing Xolani into the mayor's office. They say, go and fight the ground, go and campaign, go and get people to vote into that. If the people of Ekurhuleni, in majority, think this Xolani is the best placed person to lead them, who are we who come from city of Joburg or Tshwane or whenever to come and interfere with that? And Action SA is a political party that's independent on its own. I think it's a good move for them. I think they check the blind spots. They know where the numbers are. They know people who have the numbers. And trust me, we'll be sitting here towards the end of next year, this time next year, and Xolani would have amassed votes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of time, whether it's a politician or not, none of us started as politicians. Majority of the people in the parliament actually, they never politicians. They learned.
They learned on the job.
Yes. Yeah. The guy still has a year for him to be groomed, to can talk to the media, to can talk in public. People say he's not expressing himself well. He's only focusing on drug and illegal immigrants. Action SA will teach him. They have a responsibility to teach him about the PFMA, to teach him about budgets, to teach him how to start addressing people as honorable members, all that nonsense and decorum of colonial era, and to wear that chain. That's not necessary for me. Put somebody who will deliver what the people want.
Someone who's passionate about
somebody who's
serving people and keeping people safe.
Exactly.
And if ever there was a mayoral candidate, a person that was perfect for that, it's him.
Yes.
So shout out to Action SA.
No, shout out to Action SA.
On this masterstroke. We need to wrap it up. We're out of time.
Yes.
The flotilla activists returned home from the Gaza cruise while talks were happening in Egypt. Tata Madiba's grandson, Nkosinathi Mandela, was part of the crew that were abducted by Israel.
Yes.
We're told that they had cable ties. They were bound with cable ties. There are rumors of torture, even.
Naked,
if you can imagine it, chances are it happened. And now they're back. And there's been big debate on social media, people asking, where was he going?
South Africa.
Yes, unfortunately. There's a quarter of people who are asking questions like, we have enough problems here. The Eastern Cape is not necessarily the best place to find people living with dignity, but now you're rushing off to Palestine. My argument is he's been about Palestine from day one. He's been about what Madiba's been about, that if Palestine is not free, none of us are free. So I feel he's walking his talk. Whenever there are marches about Palestine, free Palestine, can Palestine and Palestinians be afforded their own autonomy? Nkosi Mandela is at the front of that line.
You know, Fresh, for me, when people do things for a just cause, I do not care who are you, where you come from.
Yes.
The right thing, it's a right thing.
Sure.
It could have been another Jew or Zionist who is on their side or helping them financially for the benefit of the Palestinian people. But it will be disingenuous for us, whether we like Mandela or not, Nkosi or not, it will be disingenuous for us to put a blind eye that he has been, as you said, very active, very vocal, very open for years about the situation in Palestine. You understand? So I think people are disingenuous or people are just naive. They don't follow the current affairs and the stories of this country. I do not know, and I'm subject to be corrected. The last time I checked, Mandela was an MP of the ANC. I don't know if he's still an MP, but he has been and he's not alone. There's many other, South Africans who are involved. Again, there is nothing wrong, even if there's trouble in your house. You know what we always say with Zimbabwe and the neighboring countries? If we do not help, and President Beki used to explain this very well, if we do not help our neighbors and there's problems there, they will flock into South Africa and will start crying to say foreigners are occupying the space, and it has happened because we failed even under President Mbeki to manage or to help to manage. The silent diplomacy that we tried to apply did not help us during that time to assist Zimbabwe, to assist Mozambique, to assist Lesotho. Now those people find themselves in South Africa because they see it as a land of milk and honey opportunities. But because we became silent when we were supposed to call President Mugabe out, and then to say, but this thing is going down and the people are going to suffer.
Sure.
That's one. Two, we are internationalist country. We live in a global community. It does not mean that when I have my own problems and I see that my neighbor's house is on fire, I will say at least his is on fire and mine is collapsing with a dolomite, and while I can help to extinguish the fire. I may be using a simple example, but South Africa is a member of the international community. We have always said, even your favorite Nelson Mandela said to people, we can be free here, but what is happening in Palestine is exactly what we went through. Even worse. I think it's even worse. We said when Rwanda, they were killing each other, the Hutus and the Tutsis, and we were busy voting. We were on the voting lines when that happened. And South Africa had an opportunity to intervene. 30 years down the line, we intervene in the DRC, even if we are not successful. But we cannot operate in isolation as a country, especially when we know where we come from.
And there's a saying, we can chew gum and walk at the same time. So we can be concerned with Palestine and the Congo and Western Sahara and the Eastern Cape all at the same time.
Absolutely.
We don't have to stop the one in order to be concerned about the other.
No.
And can you imagine if Zambians back in the 60s and 70s and 80s had said to their government, but why are you harboring? Why are you harboring and housing South Africans here? Why do they have a camp here? We have our own problems in Zambia. The copper price is about to plunge. So let's focus on us and the fact that we don't have the copper income that we used to have. So we must focus on Zambia right now. One Zambia, one nation. We don't want South Africans here. They must go somewhere else. If that was the attitude,
we wouldn't be where we are.
Every single country, apartheid would not have fallen at the rate that it did.
Even in the heartbeat of England, in London, the anti-apartheid movement, that was very active in telling the Western countries to intensify economic embargo, sports and cultural embargo, and sanctions, all forms of against South Africa. They were a little group in the middle of London or in England, but they managed to influence a lot in the world. Fresh, there's a lot of countries that sacrifice. Families died in Lesotho next door for harboring Chris Hani and the former PAC leader. You understand? People died, people sacrificed in Eswatini, in Botswana, in Mozambique. People were killed for the liberation movement. We can't think like that to say we have the problems we are sitting with domestically are the same problems that the former frontline states or SADC state experience, where the leadership of African countries neglect their own people. We can't say Mandela and those who were in the flotillas, they should go and stop the problem in the Western Cape. When the police and the government of the Western Cape are failing to protect lives in the Western Cape, what would have those 6 people do? To bring awareness is part of the struggle.
Yes.
And as then information is part of the liberation struggle. It's part of the fight we are fighting in the world to say we have not eradicated racism discrimination as well as neocolonialism. We haven't. We are having truth in our hands. We are having social media platforms. We are having freedom to can speak. Other countries, they don't have this. You understand? And why wouldn't we use those resources to advance the cause of another nation like the Palestinians?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but in conclusion on that, while they came back home, I think they arrived on Wednesday, and then on Thursday morning, a deal was reached again, another one.
But wasn't there bombing at the time of the deal?
Let me tell you, as the Hamas and Israel and America was busy overseeing and signing that 18-page deal and the condition, Israel was busy bombing Palestine. Even an hour after the deal was signed, they've got President Trump is just giving them an ultimatum of 48 hours or 72 hours, I can't recall, that is ending tomorrow on Sunday. And to say Hamas must release 20 live hostages, not bodies, and Israel must release about 2,000 Palestinians, and they must stop bombing. First, let me tell you, even after signing that, Israel continued bombing, although they signed. But I want to see what's going to end when the time ends on Sunday evening or at midnight South African time. What is going to be the situation in Hamas? Because our leaders from AU as well as the Arab League, they are saying this is the closest or the best they've ever signed. We have heard that before. And it's a wait-and-see situation if Israel is going to comply with the deal. But if they don't comply, if there's no consequences, then these engagements are useless. For me, I'm calling my country, my government, South Africa, close Israel embassies. Don't allow any Israel passport holders to travel to our country. Let's run a campaign as a nation aligned to the ICJ case to say South Africa is boycotting Israel products. If we don't do that, then we are wasting time.
I learned interestingly last week that of all of Israel's coal imports, we are the fourth biggest exporter of coal to Israel.
We are arming them actually to kill the Palestinians. Why are we not stopping that? I learned recently that when we remove our nuclear weapons or the apartheid nuclear, most of it went to Israel. You understand? Why? We went to the ICJ, and I'll say this week in, week out. The Republic of South Africa went to the ICJ. That led to the fallout with the United States of America, amongst others, to take Israel there from top to bottom. We tear them apart in court. Why are we not imposing sanctions on Israel as a country to support our legal? We have gone the legal route. What about the economic route? What about the humanitarian and immigration route? Why are we still having the Israel consulate in Cape Town and the Israel embassy in Xolani? Why are we still having that? Let us cut ties with these people. If we think they are so evil, they are committing genocide, why are we harboring them? That's my question. Why are we harboring Israel? Why are we allowing Israel products into South Africa? And why are we exporting our own coal that Israel is using to generate energy that is being used to create weapons that are killing the Palestinian people? In my words, South Africa is complacent to Israel destroying Palestine because we are buying their goods, because we are giving them our coal of high quality. And for that, somebody said to me, I must be very careful. Mossad will find me and come to my house and snipe me for saying this and calling for that. But unfortunately, I've long said, luckily I'm not scared of death. If I have to die for telling the truth, and I'm not calling out Israel, I'm calling out the government of the Republic of South Africa, led by President Ramaphosa, to say you are betraying the people of Palestine. You went to the ICJ, you broke ties and relations with the USA in the name of genocide, but you are still harboring those who are perpetrators of genocide, and therefore we are not honest, ethical, and genuine people.
On that note, we're done. We're out of time. Yes.
Okay.
We're out of time.
Thank you.
Where do we find you on social media?
Find me on botsangm@gmail.com on email, and then on social media handles is @botsangm on all of my social media handles, and on WhatsApp it's 083 884 7787.
Sure.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Botsang.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for being a part of Wow What a Week, hashtag PoliTricks with Fresh and Botsang. We're coming to you from Discover TV in 4 ways. Book them, let them be your stage. They'll do incredible work. Whatever it is you're shooting, a music video, you need studio for your podcast, for your DJ mix, or you need them to come to you and maybe capture your wedding or your matric dance, they'll do it for you. Find Pezulu Works and Trevor and his crew, because they make us look good. They can do the same for whatever it is that you are doing. Shout out to Keleso Modisa King, our executive producer, but most importantly you, for subscribing, for sharing, for engaging, and for disagreeing or agreeing. It's through engagement, agreements, and disagreements that we find each other and respectfully agree to disagree if that's what it needs to be. But if we don't share new data, if we don't disagree respectfully, we'll never find each other.
Yes, sir.
And it's okay to change your mind about things. You don't have to live in dissonance of sorts because your mind is believing one thing and the facts are saying something else.
Don't put communist ideas in people's minds. In Tagalegota's voice.
On that note, we're out of here. Have yourselves a great weekend and week in spite of yourselves. We'll see you again next week.